busting. Many brothers I be sparking and rusting, man, like inside the dark, call me Bill Snatcher. Just a brother for the rapture. I hang live, holding on strong, hard to capture. Extravagant, resurrect the track and it's militant. And I react like a convict and start killing. It's manifested. The gods work like appliances, dealing in my sacred life.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys a major update for the Boruto anime. Previously, I had done the promotional spoilers for Boruto episode 212, but now we have full promotional spoilers for episodes 213 and 214, and based off of these spoilers, we can now officially state that the strongest Otsutsuki that Naruto and Sasuke have ever faced is now finally being revived, and bodies are about to start hitting the floor. Press F in the chat if you know, you know. So obviously these are going to be promotional spoilers. Japan wants you to know what's getting ready to happen, so I'm not going to go too far ahead of where the actual promotional spoilers are. So if you want to go into this completely blind, then you probably want to click off this. But again, I don't consider this spoilers because they're publishing this in the TV guides in Japan. They're putting this up on the website, so this is promotional stuff they want you to know. So jumping right into it, first and foremost, we gotta thank Organic Dinosaur for taking the time out to purchase the magazine and translate it and put it up for us. So big shouts out to Organic Dinosaur. Make sure you follow her on Twitter if you've not already done so. So jumping right into it, we have episode 213, which is going to be airing on August 29th, and it's titled True Identity. Now, this is a follow-up to 212, so as a reminder, that's the episode where Amato shows up to Konoha, and Amato is demanding the right to speak to Naruto, and he's demanding that Konoha takes him in because he is betraying the Car organization. So that's why this upcoming episode 211, you don't want to miss that one because it directly leads into 212. I know people see Chocho in the episode and think, my god, it's filler, but that's not necessarily the case here. These transition episodes have actually been building towards something. So episode 213, the summary for True Identity goes as follows. Shikamaru and Naruto and others hear information from Amato in exchange for granting him refugee status in Konoha village. Amato announces that him and Kashin Koji are colluding with one another, so we have two traitors in the Car organization, and they're doing so in order to deceive Jigen. Amato then tells him about Jigen's true form. He's actually someone named Otsutsuki Isshiki who came to Earth a long time ago alongside Otsutsuki Kaguya. In addition, Amato begins to talk about the various details behind karma, which is something that has been afflicting both Boruto and Kawaki. So this episode here is going to be a massive info dump, and it's going to be Amato continuing to play Among Us. The final stages of the game, he and Kashin Koji are playing Among Us with the character of Jigen. As you saw in the last episode when Code and Delta were talking, they specifically talked about the fact that right now Jigen can't move, and I told you in the episode review that that's not necessarily the case. As of where he is right now, he can't move much. By the time Kashin Koji actually confronts him, Jigen is still very much vulnerable, but he's still extremely powerful. However, I don't have to tell you that. You saw Boruto episode 204, so you already know Jigen was able to body Naruto and Sasuke, and he did it neg diff at that. His body broke down because the guy was having too much fun. Like literally, Jigen versus Naruto and Sasuke is the equivalent of, you know, when you play the video games and you're playing them like with your little brother, your little cousin, or with a friend that you know is not really good, and you just start messing around and you almost lose the fight because you didn't take them seriously. Well, that was basically Jigen right there. Jigen was playing around with these dudes, and he realized like, oh snap, my body's beginning to break down. Let me go ahead and end this pretty quickly. And by the time he realized that he had cracks on his actual body, he says, oh snap, that was a little closer than I expected it to be. That's kind of what happened in that fight right there. There's a whole several gears of power that this dude Jigen never actually unleashed. So I like that the anime is getting ready to actually show you this, because what you're gonna see here is you're gonna start seeing Jigen in a situation where in this episode, Jigen's looking at everything, and just as they said, Amato and Kashin Koji have been colluding. Jigen knows that shit. That's why in this last episode, this man was saying, Delta, you go do this. Code, you go guard the Ten Tails. We couldn't get in touch with Boro. He's already put all the pieces together because Amato was the one that was overseeing that whole traitor thing, and they never found the traitor. And Kashin Koji is the only one that never came into the actual base to get worked on. So that's that interesting aspect right there. I love that you kind of see the whole Among Us plot line finally being addressed in the actual anime. Now, one final thing is in this episode, we get the revelation that Isshiki and Kaguya came to the planet together. Now, if you read the manga, you know that the way that the manga did it was absolute dog shit. I'm not gonna put my punches on it. I'm really hoping that the anime gives us a few scenes that actually extends the flashback, because what was in the manga was absolutely, there's no excuse for how horrible that was done in the actual manga. So I'm hoping for a little bit more. I'm not talking like half an episode, but I'm at least hoping that the anime gives us a couple of minutes of just back during that time period right there, because there's so much that can actually be added to that actually builds on that actual payoff of the information that you get. Now, moving on to the next episode. This is the big episode right here. This is the episode where no cap, manga readers can tell anime only fans this is hands down the best fight that's ever been in the manga. It's the most creative fight. So I'm really hoping they add some extra sequences and really just go balls out when it comes to the Jigen versus Kashin Koji fight, because this was a real joy to read in the manga. The promotional spoilers, so this one says the episode 214 is going to be airing on September 5th. And it's titled A Predestined Fate. Now, that in of itself, yo, you guys ain't ready for this one, man. You guys ain't ready for it, man. That's all I'm gonna say. You ain't ready for it. That title in of itself, when you find out the meaning behind it, you're gonna go, holy crap, man. So the promotional information says, at Kara's hideout, the battle between Kashin Koji and Jigen has finally begun. If Jigen were to regain strength like an Otsutsuki clan member, there would be no means for Kashin Koji to oppose such tremendous power. So that's letting you know right there. Like I said, he's vulnerable, but he's still very powerful. Now, moving back into the actual spoilers, before that scenario occurs, he must defeat Jigen and extract Isshiki's real form that had been hijacking Jigen's body. Planning his moves in order to achieve that outcome, Kashin Koji begins unleashing jutsu after jutsu. Meanwhile, in Konoha, Naruto and the others have been attentively watching over the battle via Amato's device. They see Kashin Koji's plan succeed. Finally, their strongest and worst enemy, Otsutsuki Isshiki, has made an appearance. At that same time, Naruto and the others witness an impactful phenomenon that has transpired with Kawaki's karma as a direct result of Isshiki's manifestation. So, wow. So they're putting parts of chapter 47 and chapter 48 in there together. If I'm not mistaken, those are the correlating chapter numbers. I gotta say, hands down, woo, that ending's gonna be one hell of a cliffhanger. I thought they were gonna end the cliffhanger with Isshiki Otsutsuki's speech to Kashin Koji. Looks like they're actually ending the cliffhanger with what happens with Kawaki and Kawaki's karma. Man, that's a huge moment right there, man. Those two moments were the source of so many conversations when this was coming out in the manga, but I want to unpack a couple of things here. So the first thing is that we have a full-on brawl between Jigen and Kashin Koji. So now you're getting an opportunity to actually see more of Kashin Koji, because there are going to be two fights that take place in here. You have Kashin Koji versus Jigen, which is like, Jigen, he's not at the full power he was at when he fought Naruto and Sasuke, so you can't really just look at it and say, However, as they talk about, they say the whole purpose of this battle is to extract the Otsutsuki that is hijacking Jigen's body. So Isshiki Otsutsuki gets revived but there's a reason why Isshiki does not want to get revived inside of Jigen's body. There's a reason why they went through and they did so many experiments on all these children in order to find somebody compatible with the karma seal. That's why you're seeing something happen with Kawaki's karma that I don't want to give away because spoilers, obviously. But I gotta say, the second fight that takes place in this episode, where you have Kashin Koji and Isshiki Otsutsuki swapping hands. Let me restate that for you. You have Kashin Koji and Isshiki Otsutsuki swapping hands with one another, and Isshiki is pissed off at this point. And I'm just gonna keep it a $150 with you. Kashin Koji did a lot better in that fight than a lot of people give credit for. Koji was able to not only block a full-on attack that Isshiki was throwing at him, but he was also able to sit there and directly counterattacks and block several attacks that were coming from Isshiki after the fact, and then he was able to directly take one hit. Now granted, after he took that one hit, the next attack that landed by Isshiki was enough to leave the guy damn near death. But to put that in perspective, I mean, 2 hits and you're near death against somebody like Isshiki isn't necessarily anything to sit there and say, oh, this character is incredibly weak, because when you go through and you look at it, like Sasuke got hit by a total of 5 attacks and was left near death. So if you're saying 2, obviously he's not on the same level as Naruto and Sasuke, but still, that's like if you're playing 21 against the current 36-year-old LeBron James. If you're able to score a few buckets on LeBron and LeBron is playing you halfway serious, you're not a garbage player. A really good example would be how you have like the high school student that was sitting there telling Michael Jordan, man, you're 50 years old, I can score points on you. When Jordan played the kid scored no points because Jordan said, okay, I'm gonna lock you down and shut you up. It's the same thing when Kyrie Irving, even though Kyrie was a professional player, talked all that stuff to Kobe during the Team USA basketball run, and when they played that one-on-one, Kobe locked him up. The same thing like when you had this high school student who said like, yo, I'm better than a retired Brian Scalabrine, who even when he was playing in the NBA, he was a bench player, wasn't necessarily much of anything as far as offensively. This kid looked at him and said like, yo, you a garbage in the NBA, you're retired, I can score points on you, I got you. What ended up happening is the kid ended up getting dogged out by an 11-year veteran of the NBA who was retired. He couldn't score no points on the guy. So I mean, I said to say, like, if you're able to get any hits on Isshiki at this stage, and you're able to take full-on attacks from him when he's punching you very seriously, the fact that 2 attacks is what it takes in order to leave you near death, I mean, again, Sasuke, it was 5. So we're dealing with a different level of power right there. Just being able to briefly oppose, that's a feat in and of itself. If you're Kashin Koji and you're able to block and dodge and land a couple of hits on Isshiki, even though that's Isshiki and he's not at his full power because that's not the body he wants to be revived in, you're still doing relatively well. The fact that it takes 2 hits to knock you out and leave you near death, and 5 hits by Isshiki was enough to do the same to Sasuke, you're not in that bottom tier of characters. I'm gonna be very curious to see how the anime actually handles this. Do they do something like they did with Naruto and Sasuke versus Jigen, where they made Naruto and Sasuke appear to do a lot better than they did in the actual manga version? Or do they go the route of where they just have Isshiki just completely dominate start to finish and Kashin Koji still taking out 2 hits? I'm gonna be very curious to see how they handle that aspect right there. However, I want to know from you guys, what are you guys' thoughts on this? Which episode are you most excited to get into? Let me know down in the comment section below. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.